For our North Country history lesson, we reminisce about an area attraction from the 50s and 60s, one that longtime residents may remember.
Emily Griffin tells us about the rise and fall of Adventure Town.
In 1955, Adventure Town opened up in Alexandria Bay.
Adventure Town was a model of a typical Western town of the late 1800s. It was the brainstorm of the owners of the Edgewood Resort.
The attraction covered 65 acres and featured all sorts of things.
Western shootouts, train robberies, stagecoach ambushes, rodeo shows. They had clowns, bank holdups, you name it. Anything that was associated with the Wild West, they did at Adventure Town.
It was a dream come true for tourism.
I was 11 years old in 1955, and so for me it was like beyond a dream come true. I couldn't spend enough time there.
Although it was wildly successful, Adventure Town only lasted 6 years until 1961.
The gentleman who had created it had decided that they wanted to further develop that property into something that was more associated with the resort of Edgewood.
But the plan never came to fruition. The site remains a grassy open space. Most of Lake Geronimo has been filled in, no longer big enough to carry the paddle wheel boat that once ran through it.
It was an extraordinary place, and that was the end of it.
Like a tumbleweed in the wind, Adventure Town came and went. Emily Griffin, 7 News.